Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As you guys can see, we are in the shop today, and today we're not be working on any of the cars. Today's actually be another shop update. Now, man, it must have been 4 or 5 years ago I did a video on my old pressure washer setup. And so we got the old trusty Harbor Freight pressure washer there. And that thing's been lasting, I think I've had that 5 or 6 years, something like that. Actually, no, it's been longer than that. I've had that brand pressure washer for probably 7 or 8 years. That's the second one I'm on, and it's worked just fine. But, you know, the one thing I hate about that is the fact that I have to carry a power wire and the garden hose, you know, wherever I want to use it. So, you know, I kind of wanted something that is kind of dedicated only to the cars, but also something that I could use, you know, in and around the shop, around the front of the house, and something that I'll never have to move. So all that we'll have to do is basically wind up the hose, you know, the not the garden hose, but the pressure washer hose, and we'll be good to go. So what we'll be doing today is kind of a, I don't call it a high-end, maybe a medium level pressure washer upgrade. And so basically what we'll be doing is installing a new pressure washer on the end of the shop, and we're gonna run power and water to it. I actually already have power. I'm using the one for the garage door opener. And so all we have to do is run some PEX line out there, get that all set up. But let's go ahead and show you what we have. So what we have is the Karcher pressure washer. We've got a Cox hose reel, and we've got 100 feet of, I believe it's 3/8 pressure washer hose. And so we'll be able to use that to pressure wash anything within 100 feet. So, you know, my shop's only 30 feet deep. It's about 20 feet wide. So I should be able to, if I have to, unwind the hose, either go outside or inside the shop, pressure wash anything over there if we ever had to, or go almost like all the way to the street. So with that long of a hose, we should have plenty of reach on doing anything on the front of the house. Now, I'm not going to get rid of the old Harbor Freight setup. I forgot the name of the brand. They don't even make that that brand of it anymore. But so, you know, I've learned my lesson from that. The electric pressure washers do work pretty well. So I actually saw this pretty much same setup on a guy's channel on YouTube, and I was like, you know, that's pretty cool. Then I started looking into some of the prices and some of the stuff. Well, this person, you know, their brand is really overpriced for what you get, but you're able to buy pretty much the same equipment just through other people, and it's a lot cheaper. So that's pretty much what we've done here. I got the pressure washer off Amazon. I got the Cox Hose Reel off Amazon, and the stainless steel shelf that the pressure washer is sitting on. Got that on Amazon. The 100-foot hose, I ended up buying that on, I believe, eBay or Amazon. I'm not really sure on that one. And we're pretty much going to have the same setup for a hell of a lot cheaper than what that one particular company is going to be charging. And no, we're not going to name names, but it's not hard to figure out. So we'll just say that. But yeah, so what we'll be doing today is installing this onto the walls. Now, unfortunately, where we're at on that stud over there, it's 16 inches on center, so I don't have a stud that will line up with the 24-inch stainless steel shelf. So we're gonna have to use a piece of lumber, basically the same way that we mounted the lift power cart and the air hose reel. And so basically what we use is a piece of lumber that I actually have left over from the house build. Been holding onto it for like 6 years. But it's basically be a piece of 2x10 or 2x8, I apologize, 2x8. Have 2 of those boards stacked up. We'll paint it, then we'll mount the hose reel underneath and the stainless steel shelf on top, and then put the Karcher, I'm not how sure you pronounce that. We'll put the pressure washer on top. So we got both pieces of lumber cut down to 28 inches. That should be a good kind of middle ground. The stainless steel shelf is 24 inches, so it should give us a couple inches on either side, and then the hose reel is like 18 inches across, so we're going to center them both. And so we'll do the 16-inch studs, apart. We'll center it there, then we'll center both of these installed, and then we'll center the stainless steel shelf as well as the hose reel underneath it. Alright guys, you can see that I have put a bunch of screws in here. Basically what that's to do is to, when we hang this board up against the wall, just be able to screw it right into the studs and call it a day. We put 3 screws on each end, and these will go into the studs in the drywall. Measured 8 inches out from the center of the board, because we're going to center this between 2 studs. We should be good to go, because that will be 16 inches apart, and we'll have 6 screws per board, and then we're going to have the lag bolts going through that as well. So, alright guys, if you can see behind me, we got the 2 boards hung up. If you guys were paying attention during the earlier part of the video, you may have noticed that the boards were warped. That 2x10 that I had stored for all those years was warped all to hell. I don't remember it being warped when I put it up in storage. When I pulled it out of storage, that thing was pretty messed up. So I actually had another 2x10. We ended up using, that's the top. The bottom, I had to go buy, I think it was 10 more feet of it. So I did have a little bit of cost of some wood, but we got a bottom piece, and like I said, we had those 6 holes, screwed them into the studs, and we're good to go. Then what I did after that was I actually filled all the screw holes. Then I let that dry. I wet sanded that down with a sponge, and then I just put 2 layers of primer on here. Well, that will actually dry a nice matte white finish. That'd be a good place to mount our shelf, the pressure washer, and then underneath it will be the hose assembly. So when this is dry, we'll get all that stuff mounted and we'll pick this up then. Alright guys, we got the stainless steel shelf installed. As long as you guys can read a set of instructions, it's pretty easy to put up. There's a set of screws that you put in from the bottom bracket into the main shelf on both sides, and then there's a washer behind that. Put that in. Put your support angle screws in right here. So basically all we did was we measured from the middle of the board. You guys remember this is 28 inches long, so we marked it 14, we marked it 12 and 12, and that got us our outline of where this should go. And there you go. So we got our shelf installed, and actually this thing seems pretty solid. The advertisement for it said that it can hold up to 250 pounds. Not that we're going to try that, but this is actually mounted on pretty solidly. So what we're going to do next is go grab the hose reel. We're going to put that somewhere right here. I haven't quite figured out the distance and all that, but like I was thinking, we're going to have plenty of room to get that under here before we hit the bottom of the second board. So we'll go get that all marked up and get that mounted. Alright guys, we got the hose reel installed. This wasn't that hard. I just pretty much had to get the dimensions of the size of the bracket, and then I kind of just ended up finding the 4 holes and marking them out. I pre-drilled them a little bit, and then we were able to get all 4 of the 1/4-inch lag bolts installed. And this thing, as they say, this thing isn't going anywhere. I apologize, it's raining out, so that might be adding some background noise. But now that we've got the hose reel installed and it's level and everything's good to go, we basically need to now run the pressure washer hose inside the hose reel. So you guys can see that I have managed to get the hose started, the pressure washer hose started. I think kind of what the secret is, this fitting actually spins on its end. So I was able to just get this hose in here. I got like the first thread in, then I just started spinning that fitting, this fitting right here. I wasn't turning the hose, I was actually turning the fitting, and it started spinning the proper way. So I got it hand tight. For what we're going to do now, we're going to use our crescent wrench, and we'll get that thing tight, and yeah, we should be good. So once I get this all the way on, all the way tightened down, we'll be able to put the hose in the rest of the hose reel, and then we'll have to run it through this P-clamp right here, and we should be good to go. So as you can see, we got the hose installed. You saw us twist it on, use a crescent wrench to tighten that down. Then we just basically had to wind this up 100 feet. And that's the final picture. Here is the pressure washer on the stainless steel shelf with the Cox reel. And then we've got the 100 feet of the pressure washer hose, and we'll be able to connect that with this connection here. So that's pretty much it for the setup. Obviously we still got more fittings, plumbing, wiring, all that stuff to do. But I kind of just wanted to give you an overall shot of how it's gonna look like. I am probably gonna paint this yellow part black or gray or something like that. That yellow really sticks out because there's nothing else yellow in the shop. But yeah, like I said, we're waiting on some parts, so we'll pick this up when those parts come in. We'll be able to finish this up. As you can see behind me, the shop is all torn to hell. Well, we are just beginning. We're eventually gonna have to move everything along this wall, this back wall, and up back toward the pressure washer. And what we'll be doing today is actually starting the plumbing for the pressure washer itself. Now, I'm not gonna go into a ton of detail, but basically what we're running is a PEX line from our hot water heater. That's our water source in here. We're gonna run a PEX line basically along the foundation of the shop up and into the pressure washer. And so I actually went ahead and already went to Lowe's and picked up some parts. So I picked up 100 feet of PEX hose. I obviously don't need 100 feet of PEX hose. I was figuring around 50, but unfortunately this was the smallest size that they sold in bulk. Now you could go ahead and buy, I think they were like lengths of like 8 feet, but you'd have to buy so many joiners and couplers. I was like, screw it, I'll just go ahead and buy the bigger one. So that's what we ended up doing. And then I got all the 90s elbows, brackets, and everything that I think that we're gonna need. I actually started off with the traditional fittings where you put a fitting in, put a metal clamp around it, and then you press in that clamp. Then they also sell, they kind of look like actually CV joint boots. That's a similar, similar style clamp. And then I was gonna look at that tool, but those tools were anywhere between $80 and $140 at Lowe's. I'm sure you can get them cheaper elsewhere, but this was kind of last minute. And so I was like, man, that's a big investment for something I'm gonna do once. So I actually priced out the cost of the fittings, the clamps, the tools, and then on top of that, I then figured out how much just the push lock, basically, these push to connect fittings were gonna be. And actually it was gonna be cheaper just to buy these push to connect fittings than it was gonna be to buy that tool, the clamps, as well as the fittings themselves. Now the fittings weren't super expensive, the ones that you clamp or crimp, whatever the proper term is. But for today, and we're only gonna do this job once as far as I'm aware of, the push to connect was a better deal. Now if you guys were in the construction industry, obviously it would probably be cheaper over the long run to buy just the traditional fitting, stick the tube in and put a glorified hose clamp around it and then crimp that down. That probably is a better investment in the long run. Oh, and they also sell these in plastic. I don't want to deal with plastic. It's just not something I want to deal with. So I went ahead with metal fittings. These are probably a little bit overkill, but it is what it is. But comparing the metal traditional with the metal push to connect, these were a cheaper option by a lot. But how I am going to connect to the hot water heater as well as the pressure washer itself, I actually picked up two, basically, they're either hot water heater hoses or they're washing machine hoses. I'm not really quite sure which one it is, but you guys can see here we've got a 90 3/4 coming off. We've got our 3/4 hose. And then at the end, it's just a 3/4 to 3/4 with the quick connect fitting on the bottom. All right, guys, I apologize for being covered in water, but I just took a bath testing the new water feed line for the pressure washer. It works just fine, but I want to show you how we got to this point before we go over there. And basically, you're going to take your PEX hose and you're going to cut it with actually a pipe cutter. I actually saw this recommendation online. I was like, you know what, that's actually a really good idea. I already own the tool. If you guys remember when we were doing the fuel system for the Corvette, I had to cut a bunch of PTFE line, and I used this to cut that outer sheath. It's the hard plastic material. You're not cutting stainless, but use this to cut that outer layer. So basically, all you're going to do is to cut your PEX hose. Go ahead and open up your pipe cutter, put it on the section you want to cut, tighten it. All right, now we got that tight, and you're simply going to go ahead and turn this around, move it in a circular motion, and you guys will go ahead and see that we've already probably cut halfway through the pipe, and I haven't even tightened it. So I'll tighten a little bit more. I usually turn it like 3 turns. So kind of like I was saying, tighten it a little bit, and you'll go ahead and keep using the pipe cutter until you should. There you go. As you guys saw, that just split. And if you guys can see, that pretty much makes a perfect cut. You know, you didn't have to go ahead and buy a real expensive tool that you're only going to use once. I already had this, so it was free, and it makes pretty good cuts. I use this to make all the cuts on all of the piping around the garage, and I had zero issues with it. So now that we've shown you how to kind of cut it, you're simply just going to make your measurements, measure out how much pipe you need, cut it, use the pipe cutter, and then stick it inside the push to connect fitting. We ran PEX line back behind the toolbox, over here under the steps, back behind the workbench, back behind that workbench. There's a 90. There's a bunch of 90s here, nothing's leaking. And basically we ran all the way that to the very front of the garage. And then basically along the foundation, you guys can see where we ran the PEX hose, and then this is gonna go up. All right, as you guys can see, we have our hose sticking out here. Yes, the gas can is getting a little wet, but that's all right. You'll see the water's flowing with no issue. We don't have any leaks here, no leaks there. This wet concrete is from earlier, and we don't have any more leaks along the system. All right, so that's pretty much gonna be it for the water system, at least plumbing to the pressure washer. We've kind of already showed you all the hoses over here. Oh, I did have one little update. I did get another line in, so now we have the pressure washer connected with a 90 into the hose reel. And pretty much the last thing we need to do is run power to the pressure washer, and I did pick this spot for a reason. Because if you guys look right above the pressure washer, there's an electrical outlet. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a ladder and plug up there, and we'll get the pressure washer power. All right, guys, you can see that we finally got our box that we were waiting for from Clean Right. And we'll get this opened up and show you what we ordered. All right, so this should be everything that we need. So we ordered a wand, lance, whatever you want to call that. And we also ordered a handle. And we also got our Mosmatic sprayer, so we'll finally be able to wrap this project up with the sprayer. And yeah, so to wrap this project up, we're gonna use our fittings, our thread sealant tape, all of that, and basically plug everything in to the end of the sprayer, the gun, the handle. We should be able to wrap this up. So let me get this all finished up and we'll show you the final product. All right, so we've knocked out the Mosmatic gun itself. We put the female end on the kind of the end where your lance and all that stuff's gonna go, and we also put the male end fitting on the bottom. And we'll have part numbers and everything for all this down below, because trust me, we've got adapters, we've got fittings, we've got male, we've got female. Just a lot of stuff here. All right, you'll see we have the lance done. We've got the male end on that. We've got the female end on that. And on the female end, you can put on any of your assorted pressure washer fittings. You know, this is a little sprayer. We can also put it on the main gun itself. So the next part we're gonna do is actually update our cheap foam cannon that we got off Amazon or eBay, whatever it was. This end is actually, this is unique to the Harbor Freight pressure washer. It's like some Mikado small fitting, I forget what the name of it is. I'll have a link to that video down below. But what the problem is, the end of the cheap foam cannon, this is actually a British, I believe they call it British Standard pipe or British Standard thread. And so the way we're gonna be able to fit this British Standard thread small pipe, we actually got this pipe from MC Mastercard years ago. The way what we're gonna do is we're gonna take off this fitting on the end, and we're going ahead and get an adapter. This adapter is this female part that you guys are seeing right now. That is actually 1/4 inch British Standard thread, and then the male part that you guys see, that is 1/4 inch Imperial thread, standard pipe thread, whatever you want to call that. And then we'll be able to use this on the end of that, and that will plug into the Mosmatic gun. All right, so we've gotten all the pieces done. We've got the Mosmatic gun. That's all fully fitted out with male and female ends on it, with the 3/8 and the 1/4 inch like we were saying earlier. We've got the lance, that's all 100% done. We've got the 1/4 inch male, 1/4 inch female on the end there. And then for the foam cannon, like I said, we've got that adapter from the 1/4 inch British Standard thread to the Imperial or American. All right, guys, I've done some testing of the pressure washer. Everything's working. We don't have any leaks. And what we're going to show you is kind of just a test pass on the SS behind me. The car is filthy. I'm sure you can see there's some streaks there, some crap coming off from the mirror. This car is about as dirty as you can possibly get it. I specifically haven't washed this car for like the last 2 or 3 months, and then those parts from Clean Right took like 6 weeks to get. So it's been quite a while since we washed the car. We're gonna be washing it inside because it's threatening to rain outside. So we're just gonna do one kind of, I think we're just gonna wash the quarter panel and the back door. And I basically just want to show you how the pressure washer works, and we'll show you kind of the final result without actually scrubbing the car. So we're going to use the foam cannon, hose it off, put the foam cannon with some soap on it, hose that off, we'll call it done. Alright guys, so that's pretty much a quick demonstration of the Karcher pressure washer, the Cox Hose Reel, the hose we have, you guys can kind of see over the corner, the Mosmatic gun, the lance, the cheap phone cannon with the adapter that we have, and pretty much just a quick detail and wash of the SS, well this kind of corner of the SS in the garage. And yeah, it throws water if you're not very careful, but if you guys are pretty careful, you guys can do inside garage washes. I would fully recommend move your car into the center of the garage. That way you don't have to wash up against a wall or anything like that. But also I've got electronics. I got other stuff in here that I just wanted to, so kind of why we only did the back half of the car. So, alright guys, so that's kind of the full install demonstration and setup of my new pressure washer setup for the house. You know, we shouldn't have any issues with this thing over here in the corner. It's not super loud. I want to say the Harbor Freight pressure washer electric one I have is actually louder. That one is elevated and on a stainless steel shelf, so that may amplify it a little bit more, but you know, so far no issues. But yeah, I kind of wanted to show you overall demonstration. The one nice thing is we've got 100 foot of hose, and we no longer have to dealing with that stupid pressure washer hose that came with. No more of that. So anything within 100 feet of that pressure washer, we pretty much can wash. So the front of the house, some of the siding, the driveway, the garage, any cars in the driveway. Heck, I can even go ahead and pressure wash stuff out in the street if I really wanted to. Not that we're going to do that, but we have the ability to. So now that we've given you the full demonstration, we're going to call this video here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. If you guys want to see more garage content, more pressure washer stuff, anything like that, hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications. If you guys want to help support the channel, I'm going to have links to all the parts that we used today. There is quite a lot of them because we used fittings and hoses, male, female, adapters, all kinds of stuff. We'll have all those links down below because I actually did get those all online. And make sure you guys check out our website. All the sales in there help go back into the channel, buy more equipment, stuff like this, and helps provide you guys more videos. So thanks guys. Have a great one.